Tatiana is the principal of a Canadian Ukrainian school in Kyiv who has just recently returned to Canada. She joins us now. She returned before her scheduled return for obvious reasons. Tatiana, hi, how you doing?
Hi, how are you? I'm good.
I'm well.
Not as good as Ukrainian people, but
Yeah.
I'm happy to be in Canada, that's for sure.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure you have mixed emotions about that too, don't you?
Of course I do. We just did call out for our teachers. We are still missing. We cannot locate 36 teachers out of 118. We have no idea where they are, if they're alive or not. They do not respond. Again, we haven't started calling out our students yet, so we don't know where our students either. But it's hard. I was trying to be there as long as I could. That's why I left after Russia started bombing Kyiv, and it's hard. It's hard to see. Like, I'm looking at the images and what's happening to Kyiv, one of the most beautiful cities, oldest cities in Europe. It's devastating.
Tatiana, can you roll us back in time a little bit to give us your background as to what took you back to Ukraine and the position that you were hired for, et cetera? Sort of paint us the picture, if you will, of what your life was supposed to be like.
So I immigrated from Ukraine in '93. Since then, I was in Canada. I worked for since '99, worked as a teacher, then administrator for Toronto District School Board. I also was very heavily involved with Ukrainian community. Ukraine was always part of me. And last year I was offered a job at this private school. The reason why they needed, because the school offers Ukrainian Canadian diploma for students, they needed Canadian administrator. So that's why they offered me a job. My contract was for 2.5 years. So I arrived last January. So it's been, so I was there for a year. And now I am here back in Canada. And I can tell you that I haven't been in Ukraine for almost 30 years. And the change that I thought, it was mind-blowing. And I even thought about moving permanently to Ukraine.
Really?
Because there's so much potential there. There is so much growth, and people are so different. And I really loved it, and it breaks my heart even more because Ukraine that I left was different. The Ukraine that I saw these days, this year, is completely different.
How are they different? How did you see the people as different, and how are they different now?
They are more free, they are more educated. Almost everybody speaks English, even little kids. They care about their country. And this is something that I haven't seen before. Even the people who are business people, they really want their country to be successful. Not personally them, but students and their country. And this is not that's something that I haven't seen when I was there in '90s.
What happened that, I know what happened, but I'm trying to think of the chronology of how it happened. You said you were supposed to be there in a 2.5-year contract. You were there for about a year, and now you're back here. Were you ordered to come back? Did they close the school? How did that happen?
Well, sorry,
That's okay.
when they start bombing,
Yeah.
then I decided that I have to get out. I know that the Canadian consulate was warning us and was asking all Canadians to leave, but I didn't believe that it's actually going to happen, and that's why I waited until last minute. We had number of Canadian teachers who left earlier,
Okay.
and you know what? And they did a good. They made a good choice. I did not, because I was there for my students, for my teachers. I knew that they needed me. They needed that additional support. And but again, when I heard first explosions, I knew that I have to get out, because my family here was going nuts. They were going crazy, and if I did not leave, then probably, I don't know, they probably, my mom probably would have ended up in a hospital, and my daughter as well.
So you had your mom here, and was your daughter here in Canada while you were in Ukraine?
Yes. Yeah.
Oh my gosh! So was her grandma looking after her? Her nana?
Well, my daughter is grown up.
Oh, she's
She
grown now.
already
Okay.
has. Yes.
All right.
She
So
already
that's good.
has her own kids. So.
Okay. So that's a good thing, but that's still different. What did it feel like when you had to step on that plane and leave?
Well, I didn't make it because airports were closed, so I had to find a ride to west part of Ukraine from Kyiv.
Oh my.
And then and so luckily my best friend's student was driving from Kyiv to west part of Ukraine, so they picked me up. They drove me all the way to the west part, and then one of our relatives took me to the border as far as he could, and then I had to walk 23 kilometers to the border to get to the border, and then
That's the border with Poland, correct?
is Poland, right?
Yeah. Okay.
And then I had to wait another, so it was another 18, 19 hours in line. Not even, you cannot even call it line. It was a crowd that was trying to squeeze through the gates to get through the border. And that took another 19 hours to get to the Polish side.
Tatiana, one of the things that Kevin mentioned earlier that you have a fairly clear view of is the difference of how the media over there, and by over there I mean in the two places, I mean in Russia as well as in Ukraine, are covering this event. And as I understand it, they're two very different points of view. Is that correct?
Well, I watched because I do have access to Russian TV, and I watched a lot what they post in YouTube and everywhere else in the media. A lot of Russian people don't see anything wrong with that. They think that Russia has to do it because they have to protect their own borders. They think that Russian army is actually freeing Ukrainian people from the nationalists that took over the country, and which is completely falsified, and it's completely wrong. And they don't see because the media is so controlled there. They don't see all the killing. They don't see all the damages that are caused. They don't see the Kyiv being destroyed, Kharkiv being destroyed, all the big cities are being destroyed. They don't see that because the media is very much filtered, and they only see what they need to see.
So let me go back a little bit just to clarify, to repeat, so that you can tell me if I'm wrong or right. The Russian people, as far as their media is informing them, believe that Ukraine is under threat from internal forces and Russia is liberating them.
Something like that, yes.
Okay, so what sort of has Russia taken control or attempted to take control of Ukraine media outlets as well?
Well, I know that they blown the TV tower in Kyiv, so they destroyed that already. So they definitely going for the media, and they probably trying to take it over. I know that in a lot of cities. That this I was talking to one of my VPs. She's sitting in the house. She doesn't have hydro for last 24 hours, and so I know that a lot of people going to be cut from the media, and they won't have any access to information.
What do you see as the next, as they say, shoe to drop? You still have teachers that work with you. Are there still teachers that worked with you in Ukraine?
Yes. Well, again, I still right now everybody is on a March break because
Okay.
there was no reason, like was no way to continue with the school.
Okay.
We hope that we will start online teaching in 2 weeks or after March 14th.
Okay.
But again, it depends what's going to happen. I hope that this war going to stop. I hope that I know that there is discussion today between Zelensky and Putin, and I hope that they're going to come up with some kind of compromise how to stop it, because there is no reason why so many innocent people have to die, why the country has to be destroyed. It doesn't make any sense. We are from the same ancestors, and this is what hurts the most. We all came from the Kyiv Rus, like we all were a part of the same country that again later split into Ukraine and Russia. Like most of the families have both Ukrainian and Russian blood. They're so interconnected. It's like killing your own brother or sister. I don't understand that. I really cannot comprehend it. It just does not even fit into my mind. Like there is no explanation. There is no logical explanation or logical reasoning for anything.
Almost feels like a civil war of some sense, and I guess if you dig down deeper, because of just the kind of history, and political and social history and genetic history that you were talking about, people like Putin, it would be like ripping out his roots or something like that if Ukraine were to be more aligned with the West than with the East. So it's a big deal for him. But to go about it this way is amazing. What ages were Tatiana? What ages were the children that you and your teachers were instructing?
Well, we had from kindergarten all the way to grade 11. So
Wow.
From smallest to the oldest.
How many in your school?
545.
545. Did your school get damaged? Was there any armed fire on it?
Not yet, because it's in the middle of the city, so they did not get to that part yet.
Okay.
And there is again, we are. I guess at this point, that area has not been damaged yet.
All right, now
I hope that it's going to stay this way.
I agree. Who do you actually work for? Who is your employer as a principal of a school like that?
So the school is owned by Osvitoria, and so it's an organization that works with teachers, educates teachers, and it's a privately owned company.
Oh, okay.
So the one of the owners is Zoya Litvin.
And where are they based?
Kyiv. And
In Kyiv.
actually,
Okay.
yeah, and actually Zoya's husband is there right now, and he is fighting with everybody else.
Wow.
I know that she left as soon as, again, she was there until last minute, but she has a little 1-year-old,
Yeah.
so she had to save her kids, so she left with kids. But her husband is there, and he's fighting with everybody else.
Will you go back?
It's a very difficult question because both my mom and my daughter, when they saw me, they said they're not gonna ever, ever, ever let me go again. And I don't blame them. They had, you know what? For me, I was running, I was escaping. I didn't feel as much pain as they did. And for them, sitting here and waiting and not knowing where I am and if I am safe or if I'm coming back home alive, that's probably, it's very difficult. So I
Yeah.
don't know. I
What
cannot
a-
I cannot I cannot answer that question at this point.
How do your countrymen and women feel about your leader, Mr. Zelensky?
How do they feel? I have a lot of respect to him, especially right now when he is there with his soldiers and he is fighting for his country. I know that a lot of people have a different feelings or opinions about him because he does not have any political background, and he doesn't have enough knowledge. But I think in the last year he grown a lot as a leader, and he's probably, I'm sure that he's going to be a good example for other leaders. This is how true leaders supposed to be. They're supposed to be with their people. They're supposed to be for their people, and they should not be hiding from their people or running away if there is a danger.
Tatiana, I want to thank you very much for being with us today. I can't, none of us can really imagine the stress and the emotional roller coaster that you have been on for the last number of months in particular. And I would ask only one thing of you, and that is if you would agree to be with us again and to sort of serve as our local correspondent, if you will, as to how things are going in your world as it relates to that world that is changing by the second in Ukraine and around the Black Sea and that Crimea and Russian area. Just if you could agree to stay in touch with us or let us reach out to you, that would be awesome for us.
Yeah, I'll be happy to provide you any information that I have, and I hope, like, I really pray that, you know what, the like miracle gonna happen and this war gonna stop, because hardworking people in Ukraine do not deserve that.
No, they don't.
And they're really good people. They are very hardworking people, and you probably know a lot of Ukrainians. There's a lot of them in Canada, and they're all good people. Like, there's not.
No, we believe
It's not
you.
because they're my people, but because they are.
Go hug your family for us, okay? And we'll talk to you soon, I hope.
Okay. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Okay. So, Kevin, as Kevin and I were just sort of yapping before the show about how different experiences are for different people, and there've been all sorts of memes through social media and everything else, and it's so you think you got it bad. Fill in the blanks.
Yeah, my heart absolutely broke last night seeing images of young children holing out in subways in Kyiv just for safety and running out of water, running out of power, running out of food, running out of electricity.
And I heard one little girl talking about her even smaller, younger sister, saying, well, I feel sorry for her because she has to go underground because it's not safe enough to go home, and she's afraid. And this is a little girl talking about another little girl. And it's like, we're going back to the war all over again. My mother-in-law lived in London, England, during the Blitz. She remembers the doodle bugs going over in the 40s. And she said, as long as you heard them, you were okay. It's when they were coming over and they stopped making a noise that you were in trouble, because they dropped. And like, can you imagine anything like that? And this is ringing of those kinds of experience, and it's 2022.
I mean, the worst we experienced, Lee, is, in all honesty, in our little enclave on Ontario, was like a windy day. That's as bad as it gets for us. Like, to be perfectly honest, is what, a tree fell over, lost some power lines. This is real.
I mean, out west we have our extremes. We have our forest fires, etc. But this is a man versus Mother Nature. This is not a man or human versus human conflict out of the like.
Maybe poor analogy to drop. It's interesting though. I mean, the world is so connected now through technology, where you could see that biases of generations ago saying. And I mean, Tatiana made a great point of it, as did Irene, that we all know Ukrainian people. They're fantastic. They're just like you and I. Whereas
people are people.
40,
Polish
50,
people
60
are
years
great.
ago,
Ukrainian people are
we're all great.
Hungarian people are terrific. These are good people.
I don't know that 70, 80 years ago we really knew that. The world wasn't as connected. But now we've seen people from all over the world. We've interacted with them all. They're all nice. Like what the...
Chinese people are good people. Japanese people are good
Everybody's
people.
good.
German people are good people. The people are the people are the people. It's the...
No, who's not a nice person? Putin.
Huh?
Putin. He's not a nice person.
No, he's not a nice person, but he's not a people. He's a Putin.
Right, but because of that, we don't say Russians are bad.
Of course not.
And like Tatiana, that was great insight to say, she reads the Russian news. She sees what they're getting.
One of the things I wanted to ask her, and I forgot, but was the fact that we have seen scenes of, well, they're supposed to be. We don't. It's really hard to know what to believe you see anymore. But at least we have seen scenes that they say they are actual Russian citizens in Russia protesting this war, this invasion. How real are they? I don't know. What I was wondering is how did that information disseminate there? I mean, I know there's always underground, so maybe that's why. How did that information disseminate so that they realize that their country's actually doing something wrong?
You know what, Lee? Tatiana's hanging out here, so let's ask her.
Hi, you still there?
Yeah, I'm still here. Yeah, I
Good.
didn't leave.
Okay, good. Let me ask you this question. When we were talking about the misinformation that the Russian people were receiving from their own government-controlled media, and what we see here in the West are demonstrations or protests from the Russian people in their own cities, they protesting the war or protesting the invasion of Ukraine. Are those shots real? And if so, how are they getting their information, if you understand what I'm asking?
Yes, I do. And I think that they're real because I also seen those. I seen Russian people protesting, and I also seen what their police was doing to them, like dragging them and hitting them. I know that starting, I believe, a couple days ago, they're not allowed to protest at all. Even if they want to protest, again, I don't know, this is the information that I just heard, that they can only, if you're protesting, you can protest by yourself. You cannot protest with a group.
In a
so
group.
It's only one man protest.
Oh, yeah.
But again, like if you listen to even to the media, U.S. Canadian media, and when they talk to Russian people, they're afraid. And I know that there is a lot of political prisoners there. Anybody who has any other opinion is thrown in prison, and it's not fun there. So I don't blame regular people because they are afraid.
Of course, the only reason I giggled is because it's not fun there, and I'm sure that's an understatement. Anyway, thanks for popping back in here and asking that question, Tatiana. Have yourself a great weekend.